So hi everyone. This is an interview with Melanie Balfour. I was going to start with maybe if you want to kind of talk a little bit about your background. I know you started healing work when you were like 28.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so um I started to wake up around 28. I went into recovery and um I had went to a treatment center and with my husband for a family program, and they showed a program on sexual abuse. And I was looking around the room like, oh, like that's not normal.
uh-huh.
So it popped. It
Right,
just opened me right up, and then that sent me on the healing path. So my objective was never to become enlightened or anything like that. I just wanted to um, be at peace and heal the wound of violation, right? So that's what started it. And
right,
so when I came home from that, after I revealed this happened, there wasn't a whole lot of resources when I got home, but I also didn't have any insight to what was really going on. So this opened up, and I didn't even know how to write my name.
whoa,
I didn't even know how to, so I worked in the post office at the time, and I didn't know. I had to figure out how to do numbers, like put the numbers on the boxes, because that's what we would do, put the number
right,
on the box. It felt like I was like relearning how to spell and use numbers.
wow.
Yeah. So now that I look at it, um, after all that's happened all these years, it's been a lot of years. Um, Now I see that that was just like going back into this infantile type of place
Right,
where everything was new. So I had to rediscover. But then that went away, and then I was able to function in the everyday world. But at the time, well, I had had a glimpse before that when my son was born, so that was 22.
oh yeah, I remember you
Yeah,
said.
so I
Okay,
was 22 when it actually was the first, "What the hell is this?" happened, and there was all this, well, I it was just a vast open space, whatever it was. I don't know what it is. It was just open, and, I didn't feel, I was separate from my son, and that's what triggered it.
right. So it's
I
right through the birth process were you just kind of
It was
witnessing it?
after. Yeah, it
Right.
was after the birth, so he was in his bassinet,
Uh-huh.
away away from my bed, and he was there, but then he was with me, but then he was back there, and then it just opened this up, and that went on for about 2 days in the hospital, and I tried to describe it to people, but of course nobody knew what the hell I was talking.
And that's a common thing, isn't it, during
Yeah.
birth? I mean, common enough. Christina Groff, that's how she opened her
Oh.
Kundalini opened during birth, giving birth. So
Oh, cool. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. So yeah, so then the opening up around the violation, the sexual abuse and stuff, that's what really propelled me into the journey of healing. So I found people and workshops and vision trainings and stuff like that. So I found my own way, and I would have these. Um, so I haven't had that experience where you speak of, where it opened up and it never closed. I had it open, close throughout 30 years.
right.
And so there was a high level of frustration in that.
So what it just felt like the identity or like just that constriction came back
Yeah,
or
the connection would come back, uh, but there was so many of the openings, but then it would contraction would come back.
and it was really so how regular was that? Was that
So I think from what I can remember when I look back, it often was triggered by going into those dark spaces, going into the pain. Because this, how this would experience a lot of the awakenings was, um, I would literally roll off my chair at a workshop, and then all this energy would start vibrating through the body,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't have words and names for it or anything like that, and all this pain would come through that. And then it would look like I was having an orgasm, and that was the part where I felt, well, I was so vulnerable in that place. I was
Uh-huh.
exposing the violation, but I was also exposing something very sacred. That's how I see it now.
Right.
And in group setting. So, then I would come through, all this light would come into the body, and I always said it felt like I was lit up like a Christmas tree after the fact. So that went on for years, years and years and years.
What was everybody else like when you were, I mean, what was the reaction to that?
I had a I had a variety of responses or reactions to that. So there was usually about three, four, or five people in the group that understood what was going on.
Uh-huh.
Um, but there was a lot of attack um, towards me as well.
That was scapegoating because you were
Yeah, there was a yeah, and there was a misunderstanding of what was going on, and I don't. Yeah, there was an attack on it, and but that was familiar to me, the attack. So
that
I
goes right
see
back then, childhood.
it was recreated throughout my lifetime, right? So that was just part of the family dynamics in a group. That's how I
Right. Yeah,
see
yes.
it. You know, you find your sisters and brothers that will go after you. And so um what happened when I got attacked though, because the very first workshop I ever went to, I wasn't, I was in that letting go on the floor for almost the whole 2 days. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't even know I had those kinds of feelings in the body. I had zero idea what I was doing. And I didn't even know any of the people at the workshop, and they just couldn't even look at me like as if I was evil. So
Wow.
I I actually started to believe I was like that I had evil in me. And then I had to unravel that it was just the light exposing the shame and the pain and it that was how it was healed through this body. Like, so I had to unravel that idea that I was evil.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay. I mean, in
yeah.
what way? I mean, what way? Because did that manifest? I mean, do you actually? I mean, in a
Well,
sort
you
of,
guys have talked about it. Like when you talk about entities and stuff like that.
yeah.
So people started talking about entities, and then I started questioning, like, do I have entities? Like,
Oh, yeah.
and
Okay. Yeah, that makes
I,
sense.
and so people were talking about it. So then I started to believe, well, maybe I am, but I know that's not to be true now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
sometimes just so that if we look at the shadow, like the pain that was coming through, the shadow that was hidden, but there was also a golden shadow that was wanting to hide too. Like the the beauty of this wanted to be exposed, and
Hmm.
that was that was also um terrifying for me. So I had the two dancing between the two, and just terrified of exposure, period.
So your gifts, everything that was good about you is in the
Yeah.
shadow.
Yeah, it was also in the hiding. When you come from it's common when I'm guessing when you come from a dysfunctional kind of chaotic home like that,
Oh, yeah. The sort of doormat thing. It's your
yeah,
strength.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
glad you mentioned that doormat thing.
It's not a great word, like, but
Because I've been looking at that even today, like how I can easily watch myself slip into that pattern. And so that's what I do with healing is looking at the patterns and 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 just seeing through them, like seeing them for what they are, which is just patterns in the field,
Yeah, yeah.
and don't have to make them a big deal, but also don't deny them. So that's where I got slipped up with non-duality is I I heard the words and I was relieved to hear it all, by the way. I loved hearing I didn't have to do anything.
Oh yeah.
I had done healing for so long. It was a relief to take a break.
But it was a long break in your case, wasn't it? I mean, 10
A
years.
long break. I was there for 12 years, just like kind of like not knowing what the hell I was even here for, like just going through the motions of every day. Like there was something in the healing that I was doing that was exciting and alive.
Uh-huh.
And I felt so um what would the word be? I just felt so in tune with what I like I'm here to shine,
Yeah, yeah.
not just to hide in my house or yeah, I still don't really have it all together there, like
It-
figured out or
yeah, because
unraveled.
you said as well, like, I mean, there's something about the non-dual message as well that kind of promotes this stasis almost, not intentionally. It's nobody's fault, but
No,
it's, you know,
no, it's so I wouldn't even put it on one person. It's more the words and how I
yeah,
interpret the word.
yeah, it's,
How I interpreted it is, oh, I don't have to do anything. There is no purpose. There is no meaning.
yeah, I don't think you were alone in that, but yeah, like,
And so I kind of so how I see myself now is what I did with that is I used it as my out
yeah,
from giving the gifts that I've come here to share.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
wouldn't take much for this character because of the fear of shining and the fear of exposure because I come from that like this character has a lot of like introversion and like the invisibleness like
yeah. That's a huge block as well. And I was sort of
yeah.
thinking as well, sort of stuck because you were watching non-duality meetings still, weren't you? The talks, and and I think that's a comment. Like, there's still, I think it still influences you, doesn't it? The sort of authority you talked about, external authority, and that it doesn't. You wake up, it doesn't necessarily go, does it? I think that's a job. It's, you know, um,
Right. I've been really looking at that though, like and so the end when my intuition is like when I'm listening, it it sees when I'm giving away the power and giving it to the outside authority and making someone else know more. It's a pattern that isn't working for me anymore because I've got all kinds of rebellion around it. So that's still there. Like the characters is still very much alive
huh?
and I can see it when I'm doing it, but it's like um I'm watching it. But I'm in it fully.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not a separation thing. It's like it's happening through me. I don't
yeah.
know. It's so hard to because I notice myself talking like and sometimes getting caught up in the story and then I'm like I'm knowing it's just a story. It's just a something we're playing out here.
Okay. Okay. So, but is there not a sense of like? I mean, would you not sort of see it as like, in a sense, there is the personal as well as the impersonal, or like, because I mean, in my case, my story, I'm not relinquishing my story. It's like I've got a normal life. Like, it's just, um as well, or
So can you say more about what you just said about relinquishing? I'm not relinquishing my story.
oh, just I realized that some of the message, the non-dual message that, everything's just a story. I realize it encouraged me in a very subtle way, and I think this is how this stuff works, to kind of neglect, to kind of minimize my own suffering, which of course I'd already experienced because I had similar kind of history to you, different but similar
Mhm.
effects of, it's very easy to minimize your own story if you've already had caretakers who've done that for you. So it's kind of natural. So in a way, for me, it was like taking back my story, taking back my life, taking back my brain. It's like, you know, and
Right, right. And I think that's what I'm doing. And and
yeah.
and and I like to offer that to others as well.
Hmm.
It's like a never ending kind of thing. So what I see is that this character is it expands, but not this. Like so the character grows.
Yeah.
So but and I love that. And so it was something I always just like, oh, just like I had so much passion and love for the healing arts. And so when that fell away, I just felt like sort of dead. But yet this aliveness was still there. So that doesn't go away.
Yeah.
But there was this thing around life and being with others and sharing like so many people that I know personally love to explore and look at their character and want to grow and let go of their pain uh, and unravel that because they're living in that contracted energy. And how does it unwind if they don't have that, grandiose awakening?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was lucky enough that I couldn't deny it, you know, in that sense.
Yeah. Because I remember you saying something about like if that's what awakening is. I mean, just you wake up and sit around and do nothing, and what's the in a sense, what's the point? And again, of course, the answer would be there is no point. That life is
Yeah.
its own meaning, etc. But
And that's the subtleness of the message. It's like, well, yeah, there is no point, but there's still this. That's what I kept saying is, but there's still this. But what about this?
yeah.
So if it's everything, then it's this too. Like, so I like I actually watched I don't watch a lot of YouTubes anymore. I kind of gave that up a while ago, but I was watching one with yourself and Walter and
Oh yeah.
Hamish, and
Hamesh, yeah. I'm calling Hamesh. Hamish, yeah. Hamish
there
stands for yeah.
there was a like a group of you and oh man, that really was like, oh yeah, I get like it's fun just talking about it and like having people come together and share their human experiences because here we are.
Yeah. Oh. I was
It's that
wondering.
simple.
Well, go on. Sorry.
No, it's that simple, I just had that pop.
No, right. Okay.
Mm.
Do you feel like there's something in you that wants to express, like you did the workshops in Kundalini and all these things. I mean, is there something in you that kind of wants to grow, to blossom, like to materialize now? Like it feels like it has to happen somehow, because that, I mean, that's certainly what's been happening here, been happening.
Yeah, and when it started getting triggered, oh, I think the permission to start exploring that again came through. And it's like I can't not do it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, like even with my husband and I, like I live for it. I live and breathe this. Like
Huh?
it's what makes me feel alive here.
Yeah.
Like I can really feel that when I'm speaking of it. Like not expressing it isn't an option.
Yeah. I get that.
And there's been a lot of that scapegoating thing. I'd really like that to get blown up.
Oh, it's still coming. I wonder, is it because your experience, like you were describing, are so big? It's something that makes you stand out. You get scapegoated for. You're either marginalized in some way, you're weak in some way, or you're strong in some. It's something that stands out, isn't it? And
Yeah. And yet if I look at it from, because I love to look at it from an accountability place.
oh yeah, you mentioned them.
The fuck here wants that.
Right.
You know, it has to drop here because it's resonation with the apparent other, right? So if we're looking at relationship,
Uh-huh.
so it's a dance. So what part of this is, inviting that, or what is it that I want to see
Okay.
that I would bring that. So I can really feel that. So there's this wanting to expand and grow and share
Uh-huh.
all of what is here. And the retreat comes when the attack comes. So it's like, how do I be in the world and not go back into that retreat? So
Okay.
for example, I facilitated workshops for a short time period myself, and it was around sexual healing.
Uh-huh.
So there was abuse that would appear, or even just abuse, any other type of abuse. It doesn't have to be sexual abuse.
Uh-huh.
And that would just be like a magical experience. I didn't even know really half the time what was going to come out. It was very natural, and I could see that that was a natural gift. But I would come home and see, this is the key. Um, I would do the attack. I don't need that outside
Oh, okay.
character,
Nice.
but it'll show up as an outside, at apparent outside at times, but it's already here.
Yeah.
So then that's when the contraction would come in, but it feels like I'm not able to continue that um, contraction. Like it's getting weaker.
Okay.
Like this that I'm speaking of, this that could work the room and, you know, uh, appears to be louder than the contraction.
Well,
That's what it's like, peekaboo.
why did you stop I mean, you were doing these workshops internationally, weren't you? And then,
Oh, I was just doing it in my own area.
oh, right,
Yeah.
okay. And what was it that, why did you stop doing them then? Was it, I mean,
Well, that's why I'm talking about that scapegoating thing. I was I was too hard on myself. It wasn't fun. That I loved doing it, but when I came home, the um the attack here from the mind,
right.
um, I just got tired of it. I just didn't want to, I didn't want that aspect of it. So I just,
So with inner critic, who am I? Who
yeah.
do you think you are? Stuff like, and
Yes.
all of it, the whole cringe, shame.
Shame, like shame, that's it.
Um,
And that's why when I heard the non-duality, I was like, well, I still have shame. I still, it's not mine, but it appears. It, it didn't completely leave here, like some people.
does it with somebody? I mean, I don't. I mean,
I have no idea.
there
But
was
then
some.
I was listening and then I thought, well, then I must be off, you know?
Shame. I mean, shame can be healthy too, and I mean, I don't think it does in all cases. I heard one speaker, I don't know their name or not, but said that shame went. But I mean, all these things become then sort of inhibitions, so you can deny your own shame, like, and what is it? I mean, I like that Pete Walker interpretation of shame as blame turned towards the self, actually, so you can heal it. It's just you've taken something on, a lot of cases that's not yours, you know.
Definitely. So there's that. So that's what I love to work with. It's like, well, look at that, you know? And if I don't look at it, I'm not gonna, well, maybe it could just go away with this. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't pretend to know what the mystery can do. I don't know. But I do know here it still arises. All the feelings do. I feel intense feelings.
Mm.
Intense.
Yeah. But don't you see that as healthy? I mean, again, it's like, it's at the non-dual being the authority in a sense of like how many, the access to all emotions is authenticity, isn't it? Knowing what you feel, being in touch with that is big part of, you know.
Yeah, that's what makes me real in this world and equal. Like we're all in the same boat. We're here, dancing this dance of life and it's going to bring up feelings, especially I guess I might not feel a lot of feelings if I wasn't in relationships.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The mountaintop.
But I don't know who said it, but see how enlightened you are when you go home to your mom and dad.
Oh yeah, yeah, I've heard that.
Or your siblings or whoever are the triggers in your life. But I like to look at it here and just be accountable. And that's the stuff I like working with is accountability, not fault. Then there's that anybody that's shame-based or guilt-based, they tend to go to the fault game rather than accountability. The flip from like, so there's a fine line there, but it's not accountable for what they did or what happened. You're accountable for your reaction to it. That's all you can shift or look at or what's here.
Have you ever done that? I mean, because initially, I know, like with clients, like it's can be quite good to just blame, just to really enjoy that. Just like, I mean, not
Oh, yeah.
necessarily in person, but like, in a therapeutic environment or with your friends or whatever. Like, because that's part of the
Yeah.
process. Certainly, it's been here.
For me, that's part of the accountability.
Oh, is it
Tell
okay?
me that, tell me what's going on exactly there. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, let
Okay.
it rip.
And then sort of like what, because you talked about that, sort of the end of identifying with a kind of victim. Is that what you're kind of?
Right. So, I did work with a model in the workshops that was very simple with the Cartman's triangle.
Oh yeah.
Uh, it's like, so there's the victim, the persecutor, and the rescuer, and we go around and around or around on the triangle.
Right.
Well, we just keep bouncing around. So how I see it is the way through it is the victim, and to let it speak and to let it feel and to
Uh-huh.
let it express itself and not to deny it.
Yeah, okay.
And that's kind of in the middle. And then that I can see it in my mind's eye going into the center of the triangle and it can just light up. It can blow it all up,
Yeah.
like the story, whatever, and the pattern. So I'm looking at a pattern there. So seeing through that is feeling it too. So denying our feelings, I just don't, it doesn't make sense to me to deny genuine feelings.
Yeah, because I mean, most people aren't. They need to get in touch with that, don't they? Yours are very big. And I mean, you also you talked about you experiencing clairsentience as well. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny because you had brought up that word, and I was like, oh, yeah, that because that I would feel that's why I guess I was good at what I would do as a facilitator because I can feel it,
uh-huh.
and there is no separation.
Hmm. Yeah.
So if I was working with you, I would be feeling it here. So there is no separation when I was facilitating. So it would move through here as well, and then it just be a group, whatever the group is. A, the whole group could move. Like,
Yeah, you said that. Yeah, you said that with also husband, children, like when you move.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And so, and well, even the clairsentience is it can be troublesome at times too. Like, so
right.
when there's chaos in the world, that would be why I would tend to go introverted to self-care, which is an actual smart thing to do.
Yeah.
It's like I'm getting better at this with like now that the clairsentience has been seen. I never used to be able to get through the line at the airports without almost having a panic attack
Whoa.
because there's so much stress in that for so many people through customs.
Was it always that big? I mean, were you always that way, or they, yeah, from a kid, so you could sense the
Yeah.
emotions? Okay.
Now, it was always, but it wasn't as intense as a child. But I remember someone telling me as a child, they remembered me, they could, they felt like I was looking inside them or feeling inside them. And I
Whoa.
didn't,
Uh-huh.
I wasn't doing that.
All right.
But I would feel what was going on. And, but it's not like I was doing anything. It was just, I was just hanging out, being a kid. But so, and that can create some uncomfortable feelings for people.
Right. So they're picking up on it. Is that what you're saying then,
Yeah.
or?
Well, uh, one woman told me, well, I know you can see, so I try to hide it, and so that can cause some discomfort. But I only really shine in that when when there's a setup for it. Like, so right now I don't feel what's going on with you.
Right. Okay. Like,
So, but when it's a setup for a workshop, that's the whole point. It's let's move this.
yeah.
That gift is there for that.
Okay.
But walk around feeling into people's stuff.
Okay.
But in a group, like an intense, like traumatic, I can go into that and just want to come home and be by myself. Like I have a picture of it in my mind, like when that COVID thing happened and people were just freaking out everywhere. As I couldn't even go in the stores. It was just horrible
Wow.
because people were so intense and emotional and scared.
Did it ramp up after the kind of Kundalini stuff as well? Because I mean, it sounds interesting because you know the way after near death experiences, people seem
Yeah,
to get a lot of that as well, don't they? Their
yeah.
sentiences, other kind of psychic gifts, and
Uh, Um, yeah, I wouldn't I'm trying to think about that, like to see where it really got intense. Mostly from the trauma work, it became more and more intense. I guess I couldn't say that Kundalini had something to do with it because I didn't even know what that was. I
uh-huh.
just knew it was like this intense energy moving through the body. So yeah, it probably was part of it. And if I look back in history, it probably opened up in different experiences as well because I was uh I was in the recreational drug world,
Right.
and a lot of those drugs I'm pretty sure the one especially um, opened up the heart
Oh,
to the unconditional love.
right. Okay. Was that, they weren't psychedelics, were they? Or
Yeah, that was like MDA,
oh, right. Okay. Yeah, it's hard opener, isn't it?
young when I was doing that. And um, so those kind of experiences. And then I did one that I'm pretty sure I went through a near-death experience.
Okay. Yeah, that makes it. Can you remember any details of that, or no?
All I remember about it is um, seeing I don't know, have you seen the movie Flatliners?
Oh God, that was years ago, wasn't it? A
Huh.
big memory.
I remember something like that. Like my whole world was flashing. Everything flashed before my eyes. And
Uh-huh.
then I checked out and then I came back and went, I'm never doing that again.
Okay.
So I don't know what happened there, but I know it scared the pants off me. So I didn't go back there. I was done after I did that.
Whoa. Do you still remember anything of the sort of stuff, things flashing before your eyes? Do you remember any of that, or is it?
Well, the stuff flashing before my eyes was all it's like in Flatliners where in the movie they saw everything that had happened throughout their life that was like traumatic or important.
Okay.
And I just remember feeling absolutely terrified.
Okay. So it's kind of overwhelming then, like kind of like a life
Yeah,
view, but without maybe from other people's perspectives, or I mean, they can happen in different ways, can't
I
they?
faced so I was very young then. Yeah, it was before I even had a child. So um I think I faced a lot of the darkness and it was so much so fast, like a truckload of the shadow.
All right. Okay.
And at the time I just was not prepared for that. So when I did the MDA, I was even younger when it opened up like that unconditional love. I was okay with that.
Yeah. 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 Everybody's
Shadow
okay with
was,
that. Like.
the shadow was a whole, it was so dark. It just, I, I just, and I talked to people about that one after, and almost everybody that did that had the same experience.
Oh, how bizarre. It's interesting.
None of, none of them wanted to talk about it.
Wow. Okay.
Kind of like you, I think I was drawn to you for that reason, because you like talked about meeting Satan.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I was like, oh, I get it. Like your willingness to share that was, that was a big deal in my
Yeah.
eyes.
Okay. It just seems so ordinary. It's funny, those experiences as well, in a way, like they just seem. Maybe I forget how shocking that could sound, but because it just like, well, yeah, I met Satan, I met my friend. I don't know, or my I don't know, like it's becomes part of normal life.
Yeah.
Gnarly. Like,
Yeah. So I don't know that where I go from here, right? So yeah,
the,
I just I'm happy to finally be sharing,
yeah.
just expressing.
Was there more of the language, the non-duality? Because you mentioned the non-duality. I mean, you've talked about this a bit anyway, but the non-duality language that kind of stopped you. We're talking about. Um, I mean, there are certain things like, I don't know. I've heard said therapy makes the prison more comfortable, like stuff like that. Like
Right, right. I've heard that. Yeah.
it's kind of again minimizing.
Is that there is talk about that. And then that makes me like question it as well. Like, so therapy makes the prison more comfortable. So is that true? I don't know. I don't know if that's true because for me, when I did the therapeutic transformational work
Uh-huh.
here, it busted open the prison.
Whoa, okay.
It fucking blew it up
Right.
many times. Like, but then I would go back into contraction. That was this experience anyways. But that's where the doubt does come in, is with what you just said. That's cool that you said that.
But it's interesting also to think of life as a prison, and then that what you're doing is kind of shuffling around, putting cushions in a bloody prison. It's so minimizing again. It's like, well, what's the point of doing that then? I might as well just sit here.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The doubt comes.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, and again, it's quite subtle. It's insidious, you know.
Well, I'm going to trust this, that when I, even talking to you about this,
Uh-huh.
I feel more intensely alive than when I'm sitting around saying, this is it.
Yeah.
And I'm I'm here to be alive, like to express this aliveness, not just with words, but all of it.
You had the other, the making yourself small. I suppose that that's been your curse, and you know it's been a curse of
Absolutely.
most amazing people I've met have had that curse, and it's, you know, it's just like seems so unfair, doesn't it? Because they seem to manage to find people around them to keep them small as well. Like, and then, but I've seen people just move through that so quickly, and it sounds like you're doing that, and you know, I'm moving through it, and yeah.
Yeah. So I can feel, even as you're speaking about it, the beauty of uh, all the transformation and of all the busting through the prison. I was given, this is one of, I just love looking at life sometimes and what it delivered me along the way. Like it was always pointing, always, this is my universe, like sharing, leading me or guiding me, always, always.
Uh-huh.
Just I wasn't looking, I wasn't paying attention at one time. Um, and I remember the first counselor that was at the healing center that I went to, she had given me a poem and it was called Tiger Space. So
Right.
we were talking about the prison, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so the tiger is in the cage, pacing back and forth, back and forth. And
Uh-huh.
she gave me that poem so I could see what I needed to do. And she said, so then someone came and opened up the cage door and the tiger wouldn't leave. The tiger kept pacing back and forth, back and forth. And I've never forgotten that. And I feel it, like the she was literally guiding me out of the prison.
Right. Okay.
That it was self-imposed prison.
Yeah. And that's learned helplessness as well, isn't it? The pacing up and down, the doors open, and it's like,
Like, how do I get out of here? Well, so the how came through me doing the work and the vision trainings and there was so much beauty in doing that work, like so
uh,
powerful and transforming, like my whole life. Um, Everything shifted. The people I would hang out with, everything shifted. And then when I started to have the awakenings more and longer, it was like it, it felt like something was triggering those awakenings. They weren't just coming from me walking through a door and it happened.
Right, okay.
I mean, like, because they say, well, there's no cause and effect, but it appears to look that way here.
Okay, right. But because of the dark, the emotions and
Yeah, when whatever I would blow through, like
uh-huh.
with that energy would just like move it through so rapidly, and then there'd just be all this light, and it looked like, something triggered that, and then that happened, and then the expansion,
Yeah,
the
okay.
there would be this seeing of the all or whatever this is.
It's cool to hear you kind of own that. Like, do you know, because
Okay.
it's good to hear you say that, own that, and because it can seem to happen that way, can't it? Certain things seem to blast you open, and
Yeah. I don't know about that comfort, making the prison more comfortable thing. Maybe some therapy does that. I don't know. Like if it's talk therapy, maybe, I don't know.
I think it's powerful. I mean, I mean, therapy when I've worked with people after awakening, and again, like patterns people are stuck in, and just see them move through that. And my God, I mean, how can you? But before, we're talking about before, like, I mean, words free. I mean, words free. They can suppress you. They can make you smaller. They make you, the power of that. I mean, it's massive. I think, so it pisses me off when I hear stuff like that. It's just like, oh my God, like that's we were controlled with that when we were younger, weren't we? And it's like, you know,
Yeah,
oh
that whole don't feel, don't don't express was so ingrained. Like do not. And then
mhm,
so when the mind would hear it in the non-duality, it would like be a repeat of, like you say, subtle, but
yeah,
again. I'm like, well, but what about all of this?
yeah.
What the fuck do you want me to do with it?
I know.
It's what makes me alive and present, all of it.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's it. I mean, for me, it's the goal, isn't it? Becoming your authentic self, and it's the small self that's becoming authentic, right? I mean, it's not. It's powerful. It just is. It's. I think after awakening, it's kind of that's the work for me. Like it's definitely.
Well, obviously there's something here, and all I can do is trust that. Like when I feel this real, like I like the word authentic energy coming through, and so beautiful.
You had loads of synchronicities as well, didn't you? At one point, it seemed like you were just living like in a 24/7. That
Yeah. I love it when that happens. It's fun.
when was that? When was it going like all day and
I don't even remember.
okay.
Yeah, I can't really even catch but now I see it. Now maybe I'm not, maybe it would come back after, but now I see it as it's pretty much synchronicities. They're not necessarily big anymore. Um they're everything is it. Like everything is the flow
Uh-huh.
of everything is constantly speaking to me, guiding me, showing me the next, whatever, wherever it's going to go. If I'm really listening and paying attention. I mean, a lot of time I'm not, I'm just going through everyday life,
Yeah.
but I really do see it now. It's always speaking. It's always in flow, even if it looks like it's not, like it's stuck.
Right.
So that's the, so if it looks like it's stuck and I'm not getting anything, then that's the flow.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
And I turn it around and I go, oh, okay, look at the block. So that's the flow. Look, look where I'm feeling like things aren't moving. Because they're not moving here if they're not moving there. It's just this.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Makes sense. Y- You worked intuitive. I mean, I find it interesting you worked intuitively as well. Like it sounds like when you were, you know, you just knew what to do somehow. I mean, it's just
Yeah, and to me
natural.
that's the intuition, the flow, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
it's momentary. It's in that you go with that, whatever's coming up. God, that was a tough one to trust.
Oh, right. Okay. I don't suppose you had much choice in the matter. They're like,
The doubt mind is just
oh yeah.
so much louder than the quiet intuition.
Yeah,
But
that,
um it's easier and easier now to just be with it and listen to it and see, and that's where I see the benefit of moving some of the patterns, like moving them, because that intuition just becomes louder as that a lot of that other stuff starts to dissipate. And
yeah,
I'm not, yeah, because the critic isn't as loud.
right. Okay. That
It's
makes sense.
still tries, odd. It still tries to come in, but it can oh, I was sharing this with my husband on holidays, is we were going into this weird complaining behavior.
Right, okay.
So we started just playing with it and just go, those are just thought clouds. And then the complaints just started to go away.
Oh,
They just
okay.
started.
Dissipate. Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's because it's easy to get caught up in the, I don't know, some people, I guess they say they don't land, like the thoughts don't land. Is that true for you?
Oh, I mean, okay, thoughts. I mean, like sometimes after doing a talk or whatever, like I might cringe like hell over something I've said. Like, I mean, but yeah, so sometimes they do, yeah, for sure. Sometimes it just sort of, I don't really care. But I kind of expect it sometimes if I do something that I haven't done before, like interview, I was like, the first time I interviewed was Tim Freak or something, but afterwards I'd just be like, because it's so new, it's just like, yeah, there'd be a lot of sort of negative inner critic stuff. I just think it's when you push yourself and you grow, like you're bringing up more of that, aren't you? So it's just natural. And yeah, I just sort of think, oh, I'm going to get a bit of this now. I'm going to, here it comes. No, it'll pass. I'm like, just not really. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm grateful that you shared that because of all the non-duality, like thoughts, there's no stickiness anymore. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I think anytime you say something like that, some situation is going to come up and it's going to really hit you, and you'll find some stickiness. Like, but yeah, I think it's part of growing pains as well. Some stuff doesn't touch me that I find really interesting, but yeah, certainly with new stuff, I find things will come up, and but
sense because it's the challenge.
uh,
Yeah.
I think
When
yeah,
you
yeah, sorry.
For me, it's that what I said about like the golden shadow. It's just this fear of really exposing. Um, I have not a whole lot of problems exposing the shadow, but
Yeah, I get that. Like, because
yeah.
the light, yeah, the light's the trickiest for you. I can totally see that. Uh,
Yeah. And what you just said, like it's something I'm used to exposing the shadow, so it's not as um scary or is not as challenging.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, let's go there.
Yeah.
Let's jump in. And where some people they might be the opposite. They'd be more afraid of facing that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, I don't know. Do you want to, what do you like? Do you
Yeah,
want
I'm not a typical non-duality person.
I don't think anyone is actually, but like, you know, when it comes, yeah, I think because you talked about that as well. Like we talked about sort of killing the Buddha on the road sort of thing. Like,
Right. Yeah.
it's
Yeah. And that's a challenge. That's been a challenge, but it's still happening here.
yeah,
Um, to bring everyone off the pedestals, including, you know, this, like, all of it. Like, it's
uh,
called a mystery for a reason.
yeah. And I think sharing about this is one way of killing it even more. Like it really does because you're forced to kind of express yourself, I suppose, aren't you? And you find, I don't know, I find like I'll give less of a damn like what anybody says, you know, really. 'Cause it's too
I think it,
restrictive. It's too
yeah, I think it really is. Like, so, like I said, I haven't watched a lot of YouTubes in the last long time. Um, but when I watched the one with yourself and Walter and Hamish, is that
yeah,
his name? Uh, it kind of just feels like um, a move towards just relaxing more around it and sharing so that everyone can be included in it somehow, you know, not feel like it's way out there, something I have to get out there,
uh-huh.
uh, that it's like, I'll tell you an example. My niece, one of my nieces, she she when I talked about this in the beginning, like years ago, she wasn't at all surprised by non-duality.
Right.
She always was there, like nothing.
Whoa.
It was like no big deal,
Oh, interesting.
that kind of thing. And I've met lots of young people like that.
Did she have less conditioning then? Because she was just like that.
No, oh, no.
Okay.
But if
I
I
mean,
look at and uh, people like me and my family, we all kind of didn't completely leave that place. Right?
right.
So,
Okay.
so when I started doing workshops, it was just so easy and just. And one of the things could be like, especially for that particular niece, she also did MD, MA.
Ah,
So
okay.
she had a glimpse into it and
Right.
didn't even know it.
Huh.
I have no idea, but I did wonder about that because they're starting to, people are starting to use those
Yeah.
in therapy
Yeah,
to
that's right.
open up the heart to release some of that trauma in the body mind. And it looks like it is helping some people
Yeah, I can
to,
see that. Yeah, it's much more acceptable now, isn't it? And all the psychedelic.
yeah. I mean, I didn't do it for that reason, but
Yeah, fair enough. No, me neither. Like, anyway.
but I'm pretty sure it might have facilitated my how easily I moved through stuff. It
Yeah, that
might have.
makes sense.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah,
Mm.
it's pretty cool though.
Are you happy to kind of leave it here or
I am.
okay, doke?
How about you?
Okay. Well, it was great. It was great to have a chat. And any plan on doing anything, or you just like work like or talks or anything, or were you thinking about
Well, I'm not really yet moving yet, but I have been thinking about holding workshops in my area. I've talked to a friend in my community, and I might be returning to the work. I'm not sure 100% if I want to work with groups or individuals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I've never stopped working with individuals, by the way.
I can imagine that. Yeah. Okay.
How would I say this? If it's a something that we're born to do, I just don't see that I can get away with not doing it.
Oh, it's powerful. Yeah, you saying that is powerful, isn't it?
Whew, you're correct.
Ugh.
And so it will just come out through family and friends, and
Yeah.
but I'd like it. I'm putting this out there. I would like it to extend, and I dare say that because
Okay.
we're talking synchronicity.
Yeah.
So watch what you say, because then the motion, it can start moving. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Because it feels
well,
it feels like today already started moving it. Yeah,
cool. Anyway,
yeah.
it's great to chat. And
Thanks, Dawn.
all right.
You're really easy to talk to.
So are you actually. So, all right.
Thanks very much.
All right. Bye. See.
Bye-bye.
Bye.